You're watching the News Hour at 9.
Let's begin with the explosive news break. President Trump is on Pakistan's hit list. Times Now has accessed sensational terror chatter between Pakistani handlers and terrorists, and this has now been confirmed that they are planning a bigger than usual strike between February 24th and 27th. That's the terror alert that Jammu CID has sent to the security establishment in Ahmedabad, and that US President Donald Trump will be in India in those days. That's the high target day. Let's go across straight to internal security editor Nikunj Garg joining us on the News Hour. He is the only TV journalist who has the inside track on the security arrangements and the details on this terror chatter. Nikunj, please take our viewers through what is the level of this security threat on US President Donald Trump, and what are the arrangements that are being made by the security establishment to thwart and keep a close eye on developments on security.
Well, Navika, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assumed an uncharacteristically unrivaled arrangement that the US President Donald Trump is first coming to a provincial capital. And in the similar vein, Pakistanis are trying almost everything possible. And that is why probably uncharacteristically for the first time in the recent past of gathering intelligence, Army's Northern Command has sent an alert to its biggest core functionality in the city of Ahmedabad, from where I am reporting right now. It's the 11th Infantry Brigade that is stationed in the heart of Ahmedabad city that has been put on a state of heightened alert by the Army's Northern Army Command, the Army Command which controls this particular geographical region also. And it has been cautioned that the CID, the Criminal Investigation Department in Jammu and Kashmir, has picked up a chatter between the Pakistani handlers and the militants stationed in India who have been able to sneak in India, and they have been told that you have to carry out a surprisingly bigger than usual strike during the dates when the President Donald Trump is in India. It's not only the President's entourage that can be targeted, but other American interests like their business interests, American diplomatic corps, and other trade interests also are on the terror hit list. Worrying part is that it has to be a bigger than usual or a surprisingly shocking strike that the Pakistanis are planning. And that is why probably uncharacteristically taking charge, instead of routing through the usual intelligence channels, Army's Northern Army Command has directly gotten involved and put the biggest of all security congregation here, the 11th Infantry Div in the heart of Ahmedabad, on an heightened alert.
Well, Nikunj, you're talking about the 11th Battalion. What is the real drill that's going to happen, and is there a heightened alert, security alert that you've been able to track down on the ground in Ahmedabad?
Well, absolutely, Navika. 11th Infantry Brigade, as I said, is the largest congregation of security forces in the city of Ahmedabad. Close to 4 battalions are in this brigade, and 4,000 army men would be, stationed in the city of Ahmedabad. That's the usual drill. And they're not going to directly participate, but once the Northern Army Command has alerted them to be on a state of heightened readiness, quite clearly the President's long open entourage, open road show would be covered by the Army's, sharpshooters, Army snipers, and other Army security detail, which would be working in the background with the Ahmedabad police with more sophisticated equipment, more sophisticated weaponry, and much better trained men than the Ahmedabad police or the Gujarat police can marshal. More importantly, Navika, for the first time also, and we have the copy of that input, the Intelligence Bureau, again very uncharacteristically, while talking about Donald Trump's visit, says that Islamic terrorist groups, particularly led by Iran, can also be trying to target American interests. So quite clearly, targeting of General Qasemi going to be playing out on the streets of India. Once before it has happened, Iranians have targeted Israeli interests in the heart of New Delhi. and intelligence bureau suspects that Iranians, particularly leading the Islamic group's charge, will certainly not let go of this high-value target and this high-value occasion.
Well,
as I said,
Nikunj,
unrivaled arrangement.
That's a huge, explosive and extremely important news break coming from on the ground in Ahmedabad, where US President Donald Trump is likely to land in 48 hours from now. Nikunj, you keep your eyes, as always, on all the big stories on the ground. Thank you very much for joining me on the NewsHour tonight. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, it's all in the optics of the Trump-Modi summit. And tonight, on the case, I will explain to you how every move by Donald Trump is not just a warm gesture, but a well thought out and strong message to the entire world. To begin with, this is the year when presidential elections will be held in the month of November in the United States of America. And a visit to India in the election year by an incumbent US president holds immense significance. It's a first. Given the tension in the Middle East, especially after the assassination of Iranian military general Qasem Soleimani, Trump has chosen to fly past the Gulf countries straight to India. Trump has further ensured that he does not visit any other country in the subcontinent. In fact, its fair weather ally Pakistan is not even on the radar. It's a flight that comes straight from Washington, D.C. to Ahmedabad, to Agra, to New Delhi, and back to Washington, D.C. No hyphenation with any other country in the region. On Wednesday, in a public address, Trump admitted that India did not treat United States well as far as trade is concerned. However, he was visiting India only for Modi because Modi is somebody he likes. Never before has the entire Trump family traveled to a particular country together. In fact, it's a known fact that Melania, wife of Donald Trump, and Ivanka, his daughter, have never traveled out of the United States together. What makes it even more interesting is the fact that Ivanka is said to be a close advisor to her father and has in the past accompanied him for G20 summits. No other US president has overindulged in a grand stadium opening ceremony followed by a road show, which is the plan in this Trump visit. And this comes at a time when there is immense pressure on Donald Trump by some US senators, not just the Democrats, but also from the Republicans, who are pressurizing Trump to slam Modi for his bold decision on CAA and abrogation of Article 370. In fact, the world over, the lobby has tried to best project Modi as a divider. The latest example being the British Member of Parliament, Debbie Abrahams, who was deported from India. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the middle of all of this stress, if President Trump chooses to come to India, isn't it really the biggest question that he is backing Modi on CAA and 370? And that's the legitimate question that we are asking on the NewsHour tonight. Modi-Trump summit. That's the debate on the other side.
You're watching the NewsHour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight is Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Katie Hopkins, media personality, joining us from the United States, Ashutosh, political analyst, Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, Dr. Sumant C. Raman, political analyst. But tonight, on the standpoint, Tehseen Poonawalla will take on Dr. Sambit Patra, national spokesperson of the BJP. And Tehseen Poonawalla, I want to ask, Modi baiting, is it a full-time occupation for the Congress party, which leads an entire lobby in India? We've given you a gist of how President Trump, in the middle of all the pressure on him, is coming and backing Modi. It's the only country he's visiting. It's an election year. The entire family is coming, and he's coming when there's pressure on him to criticize or take a position on CAA and 370. And his trip here at this time, doesn't it show that he backs India and Narendra Modi?
President Trump is a guest of India and we welcome President Trump. But there are some questions that the viewers of Times Now need to ask. When the Howdy Modi event happened in the United States of America in Texas, it was sponsored by an oil company, an energy company. Since then, India struck off its oil deal with Iran, an old friend. Saudi Arabia and the American oil company tends to gain. Is this not corruption? Number two, the Swadesh Jagran Manch, a branch of the RSS, has today warned Prime Minister Modi of not allowing our insurance sector to be diluted for American companies to come in, and our dairy sector. LIC is being devalued only for American insurance companies to come in. Well, when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, we got the 123 nuclear deal. We never had to compromise despite not being a part of the NPT, which was the highest achievement for India. President Obama repeatedly said that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh held his hand and helped America come out of the 2008 economic crisis. He describes Prime Minister Manmohan Singh as a guru. Nobody describes Modi as a guru. But here's what happened. Trump has repeatedly said he wants to interfere in Kashmir, something that's a bilateral issue between us and Pakistan. Prime Minister Modi has not had the guts to tell him off or deny it. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of your relatives, you must have realized, or friends, you must have realized, are getting cancer. You know why? American pharmaceutical companies forced Indian pharmaceutical companies to give up patent rights, as a result of which cancer medicines have become unaffordable in India. Prices have gone up 4 times. The question is, what investment has Prime Minister Modi managed to get from the United States of America? But I can tell you 80 Indian companies that have started based in America and are creating jobs in America. No one's creating jobs in India except for iPhone.
Well, for once he's finished 2 seconds before his time, Dr. Sambit Patra. And isn't that a telling commentary that Mr. Tehseen Poonawalla has run out of criticism? He knows the issues of the trade deficit that we have with United States, but that's not something that he's going to be talking about. Not one word on CAA or 370, all of this 90 seconds that he got on the standpoint. He comes and switches to the economy side. Dr. Sambit Patra, is the lobby just objecting for the sake of objecting?
Navika, astonishingly for Congress party, I mean, prudent diplomacy is when their Rahul Gandhi and the first family of the Congress party goes and dines and wines with Chinese ambassadors when India has a Doklam standoff. But for them, it is not prudent for the world's largest democracy and world's oldest democracy to meet. I believe this is a welcome sign. If two of the most important democracies of the world, remember, it's not just Modi and Trump meeting. It is one-to-one meet between the people of India and America. I would say it is people-to-people contact, and this is what democracy is. I mean, if optics is what they are complaining about, then I would tell them that optics is an important part of diplomacy. I should remind them of Nehru-Eisenhower meeting. Remember as to how Nehru laid down the red carpet for Eisenhower, the American president, in 1956. Mao-Nixon meeting is a talked about meeting in the world diplomacy. As to how Gorbachev was almost treated as a god in India when Gorbachev came to India. And as far as opposition of the Congress party is concerned, remember and tell me which previous visit by any foreign dignitary has not been criticized by the Congress party. I am reminded as to what kind of deplorable video was put by the Congress party when the Israeli Prime Minister was visiting India. Remember the diplomacy and the deplorable video that was put out. Remember as to what kind of video was put out when Mr. Modi was visiting the UN delegation. They had said, "Tu jaake chai bech." That was the tweet which was given out by the official Twitter handle of the Congress party. My only submission is opposition only for the opposition's sake will make the present opposition of India an extremely weak opposition. Please have some substance in your opposition.
Well, I'm opening up the debate and let me get in Katie Hopkins. Katie Hopkins, I want you to tell Indian viewers tonight on what you think about this visit of US President Donald Trump to India. Is this coming at a time when probably it's the optics and it's a message to the world?
Absolutely. And what the gentlemen there are missing is that in America, not everybody knows who Modi is. Not everybody knows the great man that I follow. And so 64 million Americans are going to find out
Great is a subjective word.
Let us be.
I think it's so important for America to see this powerful alliance between the two biggest democracies. I also see that we face a common enemy. We have to push back against the Islamists. And I absolutely think Trump supports CAA. I absolutely think he supports the abrogation of Article 370. We know that we have to stop people coming into our countries that wish us harm. And we know that we have to stand up for minorities, such as our Hindu populations and such as our Christians here in the UK. So you know what? I think it's going to be a massive optics win for Trump, a massive optics win for Modi, and a massive win for the Hindu population of India. And I feel super proud that these guys are standing up against Islamist hate and against the terrorists. You'll remember the Howdy Modi event. It was the Islamists that were trying to protest that. They picked up at the mosques and they gathered to protest. It's exactly the same scenario that plays out in India. And free people of the free world stand with Modi, and we stand with India, and we're thrilled that Trump is going to bring his family there. I think it's a fantastic time for your country.
Well, let me get in Dr. Suman Siraman. Dr. Suman Siraman, you heard Katie Hopkins. You know, why are we in India more cynical than the wide world outside?
Navika, you will have to tell me whether I heard a statement correct, but I thought I heard that, I heard her say that the visit will be a huge victory for the Hindus of India. If she did say that, did she say that? I just need a clarification because I was not very clear that that was what she said.
Katie Hopkins,
but
did you say that this visit will be a great victory for the Hindus of India?
What's the doctor's point? If he's got a point, why doesn't he make one?
Make your point, Dr. Raman.
The point is, I'm not Hindu and I'm Indian. The point is, I'm not Hindu and I'm Indian.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Is
Can
that not a victory for me?
Navika,
or is that bigotry or middle name?
If President Trump's visit is successful, explain.
I'm not Hindu and I'm Indian. Is bigotry your middle name? Or are you cheering the wall that Modi is
one at a time, one at a time, Tehseen Poonawalla. She can't hear you.
Of course she can't hear. Bigotry can't be heard. That a wall is being created where poor Hindu citizens, our Dalits, our SCs, our STs are being put behind. Can't you see that wall with your eyes? Can't you hear their pleas? And I'm not Hindu.
Okay.
And all of our
so is it not a victory for me?
It's a win for all of them, but it's not a win.
Then why do you say only Hindus? Because you're a bigot.
It's a loss for the terrorists. And once more, it's always the Islamists and the terrorists who want to stop this. This is a massive display of unity by President Trump. This is a
Can you tell me one economic deal that has been signed? One.
Democracy standing together.
Can you tell me one economic deal?
Thrilled.
No, can you tell me whether Pandit Nehru signed one economic deal with Eisenhower when he was the first,
I'll tell you.
first US president to visit India after independence? You know, you can go on about this. The deals are going on. There are many that are going to be signed, and let me give you some details. There are agreements on strategic issues of security, counter-terrorism, defense, trade, technology, and people-to-people contact. And there are going to be deals on homeland security, cyber security, and narcotics. There are also going to be deals on H-1B visa, where India has why India has still maintained 70% of the H-1B visas issued in US.
Has it not come down?
जितने issue हो रहे हैं उसमें से 70%.
लेकिन numbers नीचे आए कि नहीं मनमोहन सिंह के time से? Why? Explain why Indians being discriminated against.
Well,
this is you have
Dr. Anand Ranganathan, India till today gets 70% of the H-1B visas that are issued in the United States of America. This was the number and percentage. Earlier, it's the same number today. Number two, the cumbersome procedure is something that India is in dialogue on and trying to reduce the kind of procedures that H-1B is required to get. And H-4 visas for spouses of professionals working in the United States was something that was going to be completely banned. India has resisted pressure and so far not allowed United States to scrap it. I want to ask you, can anybody ever say that everything is done, now we have nothing to talk about? These are all talks and work in progress. Why is the Congress suddenly waking up today as if they solved every single issue with the United States in the 10 years that they were in power?
Yeah, good evening. Thanks very much, Navika. You know, I've been waiting and listening very patiently for the last 20 minutes. I expect my fellow panelists to please give me the courtesy of a couple of minutes, because I have 2 points to make. They're separate points, but they're both very important. You know, this visit is indeed important for India and also for America, no doubt about it. But I'm against this mindless purge for Trump's welcome. It is needless and reflects poorly on us. Did Trump deck up the streets of Washington during Modi's trip? Those who never care for austerity never care for posterity. Are you telling me that Trump doesn't know that 357 million Indians earn 32 rupees
isn't that a facile argument?
Show people the truth.
When you have visitors at home, do you leave your drawing room where your guests are going to come in a shabby condition? You know, what is this facile argument that you're making?
That means there's no Gujarat model. It's all underdeveloped. It's all underdeveloped. Sorry, Doc.
1 minute.
Please let me finish.
Sorry.
Please, Navika, I didn't expect you to interrupt me.
Sorry.
Why not?
Please. Navika, I dust up my sofas and maybe I dust up my sofas, but I don't spend 40 to 50 crores on it. But that's besides the point. As far as the second point that I wanted to make about the visit, it promises to accomplish a lot. As you said, 5 MOUs are going to be signed during Trump's visit, covering areas of intellectual property rights, trade, and homeland security. And my friend Tessin is a bit wrong there, because $4 billion worth of deal on defense equipment has already been finalized and will be inked. The US is a vital trade and security partner.
That's true.
Do you know that 34% of Indian stock market assets are American?
Doc, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. No, I'm sorry. The $4 billion what we are buying, we're not exporting. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We are buying $4 billion of equipment. My question is, what is being manufactured here?
Because you won't allow us to make the Rafale. You will have an objection to every defense and security. You know, why don't you just listen to a voice of reason, Mr. Tessin Poonawalla? If you were so adept in running this country, why did the people throw you out not once but twice?
70 years we ran the country.
1 minute. Wait and listen to a voice of reason.
Sure.
Navika, thank you very much. I was saying the Indo-US trade has surged from $16 billion in 1999 to $142 billion now. It is more than the French-US trade. NASA and ISRO are now partnering heavily. We have sent more than 210 American satellites into space. Our science and technology collaboration is very strong. There is also talk of building nuclear reactors together. Energy is one sector where both nations are looking to trade and collaborate really heavily. Left to the Congress and the communists, Einstein's formula would be E is equal to rubbing stone square. Maybe to placate them, PM Modi should invite Kim or Raul Castro. Then we can discuss trading good quality hammers and sickles.
Well, Dr. Suman Siraman, I want to ask you, why are the opposition parties, why is the entire lobby in such a hurry to completely slam this visit when this visit has strategic importance and it has a message that is being sent to the world? Tell me, is that something that doesn't suit you and that's why there is so much cynicism?
Look, Navika, this is an absurd argument. Nobody, no opposition party, nobody that I ever have heard of slamming the visit. The only thing that has come in for criticism so far is that wall which has been built, which perhaps is something that certainly has found global coverage. Forget about the coverage in India. It's on the papers worldwide.
Oh God, I need to
and obviously some of the expenses, and who are these people who are ostensibly organizing the Ahmedabad event? Nobody that I know of has ever spoken about the visit.
I mean, the wall has been mentioned a couple of times.
Welcome. I don't think anybody in his right senses.
Then you haven't heard Manish Tiwari, you haven't heard Anand Sharma of the Congress party. 2 successive days they've held press conferences. Maybe you should tune in and listen to the criticism coming in. But let me go across to Dr. Patra. Dr. Patra, ये दीवार है मुसीबत की जड़.
They have not said they are against the visit.
Donald Trump will love the wall. Just saying, boys.
Can I
Donald
please,
Trump
thank you.
Gonna love
Just
the
a
wall.
second. Now, can I now? Navika, I would really like to clarify on the wall, because I'm astonished that Tehseen Poonawalla and and the doctor in this panel, both of them in fact have talked wrong about the wall. And since we have a foreign panelist also, I firmly believe that I need to clarify so that the truth goes out to the people. As far as the concerned wall, if Katie is done. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. I just clarify on the wall. As far as the wall is concerned, I firmly believe that my opposition, in fact, the opposition panelists have kept quiet and have not heard to what the municipal commissioner of Ahmedabad had to say the other day. He said categorically that the wall is not meant to welcome Donald Trump. It is not constructed to ward off some kind of slum from the site of Donald Trump. In fact, it was planned months before even the Trump's visit was planned. It was meant to stop illegal encroachment to the footpath of the roads of Ahmedabad, and the tenders were floated months before this visit was planned. So for God's sake, don't bring this home in the wrong time. This wall needs clarification. I have given the clarification, so please buy this clarification, and next time don't demean your country.
So the boys really poor people encroach upon roads. Is that what you mean to say? Who is demeaning the country?
No, what are you saying? Are you making a case for encroachment?
No,
are you making a case for encroachment?
I'm making a case.
You know, I really don't understand this. Let me get in Ashutosh, senior journalist, former senior journalist. Ashutosh ji, I want to ask you, in this entire visit, where there is a gas talks forum that is going to take place, where there is an intellectual property rights, security, defense, various deals that are going to be signed, is the opposition and is the lobby only going to find fault with the wall that has to be constructed? I mean, can we as a country look at our strategic interests rather than only debate a wall in the middle of this huge visit and a huge message that is being sent to the world?
Navika, I think I will be heard quietly and people will not disturb me. See, there are 3-4 things which we have to understand. This visit is all about optics, not about the substance. If anybody is thinking that Mr. Donald Trump is coming, he's a great man and he will do great service to India, I think we are all mistaken. Mr. Donald Trump believes and says US first, America first. And that is what he is up to. And if you see what he has done before coming, he said it is India which has misbehaved with him. Exact word, बुरा बर्ताव हमारे साथ किया इंडिया ने. Though Mr. Modi is my friend, somebody who is using such foul word about India,
well. These two have different meanings. For God's sake, these two have different meanings. Not treating well and misbehaved is not same.
Did I disturb you?
Ashutosh, very fairly.
So Ashutosh ji, even if Donald Trump is not being treated well by India, which to my mind means that India is driving a hard bargain on the trade talks, which shouldn't be such a bad thing at all, number one. And number two, if despite not being treated well, he's still coming to India, isn't that a statement that India is an important partner and Donald Trump thinks it's worth his while to come here?
No, first of all, I think we should make a difference. That what he is saying, he is virtually insinuating that India has not treated him well. The 3 points which I want to say: firstly, India has done great disservice to America has done a great disservice under Mr. Donald Trump about the international trade which India had. He has removed India from the GPS, that is Generalized Preference System. Yes. He has also removed India from the developing to the developed world with a condescending tweet, which says under the GATT, there are countries which are using forgeries. That means India has been doing forgery because India was in the developing country list. He has raised steel 25%. He has raised aluminium tariff by more than 10%. India has to suffer because of America. We have to buy oil other than Iran, which has been our traditional good ally. He has been threatening us that don't buy S-400 from the Russia, otherwise I'll put sanction. He has also said don't go for 5G, don't go to the Wahhabeh, otherwise I'll put sanction. Is this a friendly gesture by the president? I fail to understand that.
So Katie Hopkins, let me come back to you. I'm coming to you, Dr. Patra. Katie Hopkins, I want to ask you that can Indians or Britishers choose who's going to be the president of the United States? It is Donald Trump who is the president, and every country will have to calibrate their policies and their talks in a manner to engage with a world superpower. Isn't that the bottom line? Now, Ashutosh says United States has said India hasn't treated it well, and still Donald Trump is coming to India. Isn't that a message and endorsement of Modi?
I think absolutely right. And the boys, if you be quiet for one moment, just hold your tongue.
You can be in awe of Mr. Donald Trump. We Indians are not in awe of Mr. Donald Trump.
Do not disrespect me as a woman. You are disrespecting me as a female commentator. Be quiet. I want to tell you one thing very clearly. Do you boys not want 64 million Americans to know about India? Do you not want them to know about your country?
Who is this woman who is disrespecting
Indians? Do you not want to know about your successes? Do you not want Americans to know that Donald Trump, their president, stands with Modi? Do you not want India to be one of the biggest news items in 2020 when the most talked about man on the planet right now is Donald J. Trump? And you can cross your arms all you want, sir, and look sulky, but it's time you started listening to some comments coming out of the USA. India, that Donald Trump is visiting with his family. He loves a wall. You want to talk about a wall? He's building a great big damn wall against Mexico. He loves a wall. So don't you try and bring walls up as an issue. And don't try and say he's never done anything for India. He's done more for India than any other president. Yes, he's firm. Yes, he knows what economic policy he wants. Yes, he knows what trade deal he wants. But India is going to be better off because of its relationship with Donald J. Trump. I can promise you that. And I can also promise you to share a common enemy.
I can tell you 10 things that the other governments have got done from the US. Tell me 8 things he's done for India. 8 things. Please, here's a challenge to you. Instead of ranting about how great Donald J. Trump is, which I'm sure he is, and you can please keep him on your head, please tell us what he's done specifically for us. He's made his spoiled equations with Iran. Why?
Hands down.
I want to understand specifically what he's done.
The enemy is Islamist.
Forget ranting about Islamists. You please tell us what he's done for India specifically. Can you please tell us that?
Navika, can I please drop in for a few seconds if you allow me?
Well, I really don't understand why is there so much peak. You know, she's on a Skype link.
She has no answers. I'm giving her 8 things Donald Trump's done more than George W. Bush or Clinton or Obama has done for India. You said he's done the most than any other American president. Here's a challenge to you. Tell us.
All right. Dr. Patra is responding. Dr. Patra is responding to you.
Yes. See, I've patiently heard most of you, and I'm astonished that Ashutosh, a great journalist, says that Donald Trump is not that great a man. Whether he's great or not great is a separate issue. He is the president of US, America, and America is one of the greatest democracies of the world, just as India. So you cannot deny this right. I mean, it's not we who elect the president, it's the people of America, and we have to respect the people of a nation, number one. Number two, you said that, well, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, he said that he was being misbehaved by India. No, he was not misbehaved by India. He never said, I have been misbehaved by India. He said that I have been mistreated. I mean, mistreated means probably India is a tough negotiator. So it's good that if a country is a tough negotiator, it's good that if two countries sit down and talk about trade deals, this is how democracies move, number two. Number three, I mean, look at Mr. Donald Trump. Despite 4 senators writing to Mike Pompeo about CAA, that CAA is anti-democracy, Mr. Donald Trump gives them a cold nod. He comes to India and he says, I stand with CAA. He does not give any kind of rant against Article 370's abrogation.
Where is he said
and the best part about it is,
Dr.
Patra,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please quote me. When did Dr. Trump say stand with CAA? When did Mr. Trump say? Please, I missed it. I would really like you to quote the date and time when I stand with CAA.
So let me tell you.
The date.
It was on 13th of February in a letter to US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. 4 US senators, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans have urged an assessment of the Citizenship Amendment Act passed by India and the abrogation of Article 370. This is on the table. This is on the table. The fact that Trump has decided Trump has decided to keep these naysayers on the side, come to India, only country that he's coming to with his entire family. And let me tell you, Melania and Ivanka don't even travel together out of the United States. They're coming together.
That's great. Did the whole world not oppose the nuclear deal? We were not a part of the NPT. Didn't George Bush stand firmly by Manmohan Singh and give it to us? Now, I want to say George Bush said specifically India deserves the 123 agreement. I want to know, when did Donald Trump said, as Dr. Patra quoted, I stand with CA. Give me the date. Give me the date. I proved it to you. You prove it to me.
रॉबर्ट वाड्रा को बुलाएं.
Stop getting Robert into this. What Robert got to do with it?
भाई इतना क्यों गुस्सा हो?
You be specific on this.
क्या करें? ट्रम्प का कैंसिल करके रॉबर्ट वाड्रा को बुलाएं मॉन्ट्रियल में. नहीं चलो भैया, ट्रम्प का कैंसिल, अब बुलाओ रॉबर्ट वाड्रा को बुलाओ, उसी का स्वागत करो.
This is frivolous. चलो, it's okay. You don't have an answer. I let go.
और नहीं तो क्या तुम आप लोग इतना चिल्ला क्यों रहे हो?
आपने सवाल पूछा,
why are you so annoyed? If Trump is coming, what makes this whole visit so annoying? Why are you all shouting at the top of the room?
You said Trump.
He's the president of the United States of America.
Is it your case, Dr. Suman Siraman? May I tell you, when United States removes India from the preferences list and we don't get the preferences, it's not just India that suffers, many nations have suffered. But do you know that in the background there are talks on, not on a preference list or a MFN, a most favored nation list, where India would be treated like many others. The dialogue right now is on a free trade agreement in which it will only be reciprocal. India to US, US to India. That's what special relationships are about. Not about obfuscation of facts. So Dr. Suman Siraman, you want that because Trump has done X, Y, Z, because it is his promise in his country, in his manifesto, you want India to stop engaging with the United States. Is that the case you're making?
Nobody in his right senses wants India to stop engaging with the United States. India and the US share extremely strong ties. Those ties have been strengthened significantly over the last 15-20 years, and the 123 agreement was a huge diplomatic success for India with Dr. Manmohan Singh and George W. Bush. By the way, I'm completely flummoxed by this I stand by CAA statement that President Trump is said to have made. If Dr. Patra can provide us the details of when he said he stands by CAA,
he doesn't have to make a statement, sir. His gesture is enough.
Because
no, just again, a second, sir. I believe you are a political commentator. You would understand certain things, and everything has not to be written in black and white. When, despite the fact that some of his senators write a letter to him, and he comes to India,
Dr. Anand Ranganathan, this whole thing about a statement that President Donald Trump should have made, and the date has to be cited. I want to ask you, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, the fact that there are objections to CAA and Article 370 by Democrats and Republicans sitting on the table of President Trump, he still chooses to come to India. He still chooses to come in an election year. He comes only to one country, which is India, no hyphenation with anybody in the region, in South Asia, in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, and visits only India with his entire family and a battery of A-listers who are coming with him. And can we just put out all the people who are going to accompany this delegation of President Trump? Despite that, this lobby is questioning, what's the big deal? Why are they doing this? What have they given us?
Yeah,
Navika, why are
quickly 2 points before I'm interrupted by my good friend Tehsil.
I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Now, Ashutosh,
there's so much in awe of the man.
Navika, the question was asked of me.
I'm not in awe of anybody, Mr. Ashutosh.
I don't know what to do.
I am only not half as cynical as you are, because this is about Modi, and a president comes and stands behind Modi is something you can't actually.
It's not about president. It's about Mr. Donald Trump.
Exactly.
It's about Donald Trump.
Yeah, so Donald Trump,
women, everybody knows.
You want to do business with somebody else in the United States, Ashutosh ji?
Everybody
You
knows.
want to do business with somebody else?
He's saying 70 lakh people will greet him. 70 lakh people will greet him. The population of Ahmedabad is only 56. And he's saying more than
Navika,
more than 10 million.
Anand Ranganathan, respond to the naysayers tonight.
Yeah, no, very quickly 2 points. Number one, Navika,
70 lakh people are going to welcome
quality and the strength. My God, Ashutosh, will you be quiet now? Come on, yeah. I was waiting for 20 minutes. I've been silent when you've been speaking. Please. Thank you. Navika, the real strength and quality of a friendship between two nations is that it is irrespective of the kind of leaders who are elected leaders of those two nations. Over the last 20 years, we found this to be true between America and India. Now, traditionally, America has never been friends with India and vice versa because we sided with the Soviet bloc. It's only after the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union collapsed that we began our friendship with India. And I have to say, I think the strongest friendship between India and America were during the time of Manmohan Singh and George Bush. Remember, he said, Mr. President, America loves you. Now, the other point I want to make, the other important point I want to make is this. I've already given you the data, how our trade is $142 billion, so on and so forth. It is vitally important to tell you about this friendship and the acts that are going to be signed. I mean, it's nobody's business to say that this visit is not important. And as far as, the truth lies somewhere in between, just give me 20 more seconds. Because for the first time, I do agree that Ashutosh is correct, as well as Dr. Patra is correct as well. The truth is somewhere in between. Both India and Trump are really hard negotiators. So Trump always uses this as a negotiating posture that, oh, this country is useless, it's being very hard, it's being unfair and all that. And he comes and he says, right now, who knows, guys, we might sign a deal. So this is negotiating tactic. Let's not be enamored or be disappointed by this. Let us see, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. But for heaven's sake, let us not. And Tehseen, my good friend, I've already told you the truth. The best friendship was during Manmohan Singh and George Bush era. So please do not run down.
I'm not running it down. That's the point I was making. I absolutely welcome President Trump. He's our president. He's our guest as well. Prime Minister Modi is our Prime Minister.
But we must the BJP was initially opposed to the nuclear deal, but later changed its track and appreciated the nuclear deal. Why can't the Congress be as large-hearted when they see something in benefit of India? And I make this point because Trump is a hard negotiator. He has kept protectionism as the top of his economic policy doctrine in the United States. True. But that's who he is. He is the President of the United States. And you and I or Prime Minister Modi don't get to choose the President of the United States.
Well, of course we don't.
So,
nor should our Prime Minister campaign for one party.
When President Trump says India is a hard negotiator, take it that India is also...
I'm proud. But here's my problem. Hear me out. My problem is we had a fantastic relationship with Iran. We got 12% of our oil from Iran. Today, that relationship is spoiled only because of President Trump putting pressure on Prime Minister Modi. So I agree with my friend Anand. President Trump's a fantastic negotiator. What is my India got?
Dr. Patra,
India is not getting oil from Iran. That's my problem.
They can't seem to stop having a problem with the Trump visit.
No,
what is this visit about? Is it a Modi-Trump card?
Tehseen,
or
just a
is
second,
it
please.
a paid for the opposition?
Sure, please.
See, I'll tell you very frankly, I mean, since we are moving towards the close of the debate, so they don't like Modi, that's for sure. Every day they're ranting and blabbering about Modi. They don't like Modi, they don't like Trump. They like only Arundhati Roy and Teesta Talwar. So for God's sake, these debates will never come to an end. Let them love Teesta Talwar. Let us love democracies of India and America. Period.
Yes, we don't like the person who
that's summing it up really well, because this is a lobby of naysayers. Their problem is that they don't like Modi. And Modi has met Trump 5 times in the last 8 months since his re-election in May last year. And that is not something that the opposition would like to acknowledge. That is not something that they would like to acknowledge, that Donald Trump made a promise to Prime Minister Modi in 2017 and is keeping it up in his first term, making a visit to India, not hyphenating it with any other country. and the fact that he has objections to CAA and 370 on his table, yet he chooses to come to India and stand behind Modi. Does that leave a doubt in your mind, ladies and gentlemen, about Modi and his outreach to get what India needs to have in terms of its place in the global high table? Or would you go with the opposition that continues to bring down Modi every step of the day, every excuse they get? Think about it. Thank you for joining me. But before I'm going across to what's happening in Ahmedabad in terms of the preparations, I'll leave you with this big story coming up on the News Hour.
राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप भारत में आपका बहुत स्वागत है.
The world is all set to witness a spectacle. 17 line items, 36 hours and 3 cities.
You can see it's a massive stage, 1.1 lakh capacity. This is the largest stadium, cricket stadium in the world, and all of these seats are color coded. The people who will be participating have been given in their passes the color of the seat in which they will be sitting, and accordingly they will be seated.
Ahmedabad, Agra and Delhi. The stage is set for history to be created.
Now the stretch from the airport at Agra to the Taj Mahal is being beautified, and not just that particular area, even the premises of Taj Mahal is being cleaned up.
For the first time ever, Melania and Ivanka Trump are all set to travel together.
It's a very festive period. If you see right behind me, you see the flowers and the balloons. But the most important thing, as I mentioned, is Ivanka Trump will be here. Jared Kushner will be here. The Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross, will definitely be here.
India on its feet to make sure that US President's trip is glitch-free. All eyes are now on Modi and Trump as they are set to write a new chapter in Indo-US relations. Bureau Report, Times Now.